Hello, my name is Alex Downs and this is my 1980 Series 1 Mark 1 Golf that has been heavily modified with a PD130TDi motor, air suspension and various other modifications. I got into cars from quite a young age, always been car obsessed, and I got that from my dad. Ever since I can remember, he's always bought and sold, had classic cars, bit of a wheeler dealer. I really started to get into cars when I started going to shows with my best friend Jack and his dad, doing mainly air-cooled Volkswagen shows. I'm 26 and I'm on my 29th car. It's a little bit of an addiction, but this is the longest that I've ever owned a car and the most effort I've ever put into a car. But yeah, I've had a string of anything from Volvo 340s, 190 Mercedes, Mark 2 Polo, Mazda MX-5, a very wide range taste in cars. But yeah, normally very low, very stupid. There's a good story behind why I ended up with this Mark 1 Golf. I had a Mark 2 Golf previous to this. I had huge plans for it, really for it to go as far as what this one has, and unfortunately it was written off by an uninsured driver. I've been saving for months and months and months I bought a set of compromotive wheels for it and air suspension, and the money that I'd saved up, I bought this shelf from who was at the time my boss, and that's where it all started. When I did buy the car from John, he bought it as a parts car. It was bought because it's an early spec Mark 1 Golf. So he bought it for the rear panel and other rare features that are on the car. Having taken the car apart, he then realised that it was too good, too rare to use as a donor car, and started the restoration. Basically, it was stripped, but it was just an absolute bare shell that had a couple of pieces of weld in it, and that was pretty much it. And then yeah, from then on, decided to build my dream car. The original plan was always to put the PD in it because we'd got the donor car already at work. The plan was PD, tidy up, full paint, not on air suspension, something that I could use quite a lot, take it to shows, it'll hold its own at shows, but nothing that was really groundbreaking. But that all very much soon changed within the first few weeks. I just got realising what sort of work we were doing on customers' cars. I thought, why should I do mine to a lesser standard or not go as far as what they're going to? And yeah, this is really where it all snowballed into. So the car's had quite a lot of work, over 3 years and 3,500 hours plus. I roughly worked it out at. It's had a full bare metal restoration, inner and outer arches, rear panel, front panel, pieces in the floor, pieces on the inner wings, then the full shade bay with the turret raise, which allows the car to go as low as possible. Scuttle's been removed, heaters removed, battery relocated into the boot, remote servo behind the dash. A lot, it's had a lot. Yeah, and then all the arches being widened, the rear beams being chopped that was previously on my boss's car, so that's been narrowed 4-inch. Seats, interior is all been changed to herringbone tweed. Even down to like the seat frames are all custom made. Everything's pretty much one-off, as close as you can get to being one-off. The handbrake cover and the gear stick knob was made by a bloke called Basil. He recycles old skateboards and glues all the skateboards together and does everything by hand to create one-off parts for your car. Over at the Drivers Collection, the car club that I run, we've actually done a collaboration knob as well that you can buy. So yeah, he's a really talented bloke and really proud of his work on the car. After the restoration was completed for its first year, there were a lot of things that I either couldn't afford to do or didn't have time to do. So after the last show of the season in 2018, it come back off the road again, and a good friend of mine, Joe Ogle, who runs Kojo Customs, we set about in my mum and dad's garage creating the whole lobster back, call it the lobster back sack and crack piece around the engine. I cannot take credit for it. It was my brain. I had an idea of what I wanted to do with it, and we froze our arses off in garage making that with nothing but a vice and a TIG welder and an angle grinder. And then it went over to BIM Pugs Polishing for him to do all the 316 stainless piping. He fully polished it all and did a cracking job of that. So yeah, that happened over the winter, and then the wheels they've been machined from 14-inch Volkswagen Mark1 Golf wheels. So they were originally a 14-inch wheel that would have come on a Mark1 Golf. They've been machined down and turned into 3-piece splits, stepped up to a 16-inch wheel, and then on the rear I'm actually running 2 dishes rather than a dish and a barrel. So to make the most of that chop beam on the back, there's a 4-inch dish on the outside and a 3.5-inch dish on the inside. So each wheel's got 2 tyre valves, which is a bit different. So they were like the changes that were done over 2018 into 2019, and then end of 2019 I was really busy doing the driver's collection show, so I didn't get as much time to do what I wanted to do with the car as what I'd have hoped, but managed to do a new boot install. So the air install was all changed, and Jack from Forge from Flake, he's such a talented airbrush artist. I left him to do that and just said, just do me something mad, and as long as it's gold and body coloured and bling, I'll be happy. And then that's where that come to. So yeah, it's ever evolving. In the future, there's always something in the pipeline. There's a few more bits in the engine bay that I want to tweak and do a bit more. I need to have a fiddle about with the braking, see if we can get that a bit more, so it's a bit more fun to drive and a little bit more responsive, because it's not 100%. And then I am going to change the boot install again, because there's a few bits where I will push for time. I do have a rule that through the summer I drive it and I enjoy it. Unless it breaks, then I fix it. But then through the winter, it gets pulled apart, and then anything that I'm not happy with, then I'll work on it. And I might put some comfier seats in it, because they are so painful. After anything over an hour, my legs go numb, my arse goes numb, and yeah. So an hour and a half, you're ready to get out of it, have a walk about, get back in it and then go. So I'd like to do more long distance driving in it, go to France and do VW days or Players Classic down south. Because the car's more than capable of making the mileage and doing the mileage. It's me that can't survive it. So I'd say as far as achievements go with the car, ever since being a kid I've always wanted to have a car in Performance Volkswagen magazine. Subscribe to it, it comes every month. Some of my favourite cars that I've ever seen have been in that magazine. So when I built it, I didn't have any shows that I was particularly bothered about winning or anything like that. I just wanted my car in PVW, even if it was just in the show coverage, something along them lines. So to get a feature and have it shot before the car was even seen to anybody, yeah, that was, for me, that was the ultimate achievement. But coming along with stuff like that is been doing Bug Jam for so many years since I was a kid, so to win at Bug Jam, that were really good. It's always good to win at some of the bigger shows and whatever else, that obviously the hardest ones, but they don't really bother me that much. It's more the sentimental side of things, so winning at or placing at shows where I've been going for numerous years and gone as a kid or whatever else, they're the ones that like mean the most here. But it's not really about winning trophies or anything along them lines. It's, you build it for yourself, and anything that comes after that, then that's bonus. So there were numerous challenges and stresses through doing this, and the main problem was trying to achieve something that, so what I know, nobody's really done. So there's been a few PD swaps. It's not the most common swap to do. My boss Johnny'd done a few engine swaps previously, but never done a diesel swap. So we're really going blind. Just getting it mounted was horrendous. So it's running basically where the engine mounts up is where the cam belt fits, because normally they have huge cast mounts on either side of the engine. So I had to run a shorter cam belt and remove one of the rollers, which was quite nerve-wracking the first time I started it up. I'm like, not sure if this is legit or not, because I'm not a mechanic, but it works. So I'll be honest with you, it was an absolute problem child from start to finish. Wiring the car, I had no prior experience to doing any sort of wiring, so I sent the fuse box off to get the plugs adapted. There was so much stuff missing from what he was supposed to have done, and there was all sorts going off at the time. So majority of it I ended up wiring up myself, and just using a Mark1 Golf wiring diagram and a Mark1 diagram, and just trying to use common sense to do an engine swap that I had no idea what I was doing. But unbelievably, months later it runs, and it's, touch wood, it's not really had any wiring faults. So I think I was just a bit overcautious with everything. I was just terrified it was just going to go up in flames. Obviously I've had quite a lot of seat time in the car and built a family of friends that we formed the Drivers Collection Club from. So every time we go out there's something happens that's absolutely, like, we're all such good friends, there's always things that happen that are entertaining. But I think the ones that, and anybody who's got an old car will tell you, is when they're happening, they're the worst thing that's happening, but then when you look back at it, they're the most interesting, funny things. So last year on the way back we were at Fitted, and I was fortunate to have like a podium, and that meant that I was the last out, and being the last out, it was like 9 o'clock at night. It was fair enough, alright, come out, and it was like the worst thunderstorm you've ever seen in your entire life. It was horrendous. The wipers were literally non-existent, they're terrible. The lights are almost non-existent, they're absolutely terrible. And I had to drive over at Snake Pass to get home, and we had all the windows down on the car because there's no blowers in the car, it was steaming up. My poor girlfriend Jay, she got every coat on you've ever seen in your life, all wrapped up, and just in this steamed Mark1 Golf. I was doing like 20 miles an hour through all flooded roads and everything all the way back. It was the worst journey of my life, but I suppose it's story to tell, isn't it? So, or when it broke down on M1 in traffic, I thought it'd be really cool and air it out in traffic after there'd been a crash on M1. I'm like, yeah, cool, air my car out on M1, and then it wouldn't start. So it was like stuck in the middle of M1 and we had to bump it. That probably weren't the wisest thing I've ever done. The end result is not what I was expecting to build when I started out doing it. It's the same engine, it's the same colour, because I wanted to keep a take on the original colour. So it is a full custom mixed colour, but of the original car. It's almost what I expected, but I think I've just gone a bit... When you get too carried away in certain areas, then you can't have anything else let it down. So you set a standard. When I started shaving the bay, and then I was like, oh actually I'll just do this bit, oh actually I'll just carry on and I'll do this bit, and then before you know it you're like, oh my god, I've spent 3-4 months doing this and I've not even left the engine bay yet. It's crazy. Now it's on air and that, everything's painted underneath and fuel tanks all chrome, and it just, no. You set off with an idea and build from that idea, and then it just snowballs into something that you said you were going to spend X amount of money in a year doing, and then you're way more money, way more time and way more years down the line, and then you end up with something as stupid as this, really. This car is special to me because at the time when I was building it, I was probably at the worst point to be building a car like this. I had no money. I've been with my girlfriend a few years, so really she wanted to buy a house. I bought cars, did other cars up to sell them to make money on it, let cars go that I really wish I'd never let go, that I didn't want to sell, all to fund this. Teetering on the edge of my credit card limit like you've never known, but just being in so far that you're like, well, I can't turn back now. I put all this time and money into it. The only thing that spurred me on was how much time and money I've wasted so far. I had to finish it, and that was it. Realistically, it's blood, sweat, tears, late nights, everything. Yeah, it's got so much sentimental value. It's unbelievable. And everybody always says you can never bring yourself to sell it because of what you put into it. And there's not many things that I would sell it for. I've made a lot of memories building it, and I've made a lot of memories and a lot of good friends through driving it and owning it. So yeah, my entire life pretty much revolves around this car. So driving this car compared to any modern car is completely different. It's unbelievably raw, so you feel every bump. It's kind of responsive, but not responsive in the same way. So although it's not the fastest thing in the world, it's 190 brake horse, but there's an incredible amount of weight over the front end and a lot of torque. So it's not going to be a Golf R by any means, but I can guarantee you that you will shit yourself a lot more in this car than a Golf R, because you don't know which edge you're going to end up in, and it is literally untamable. It's just wild. The other thing is like with the seating position and how like empty it almost feels inside. You feel so vulnerable when you're driving it, knowing that you've got nothing around you, but it all just adds to excitement. You can be doing 70 mile an hour, which I only ever do 70 mile an hour in it, I can assure you. You can be doing 70 mile an hour in it and it feels like you're doing 120 mile an hour. It's scary. It's a scary car to drive, but that's probably why I've kept it for so long. I don't know if I can say, because my mum and dad are going to be watching. They'll probably watch this. It's quite fast. On a private road, somewhere definitely not in the UK, it's capable of leaving clocks at 120 mile an hour, but after that, there's still a lot of legs in it. The gearbox is rated to about late 150s, and I'm pretty sure it'd get somewhere up there. I was very fortunate that although almost all the car there was nothing left of it, in a little hoard was all the bronze tinted glass, which is like really rare. The seat belts that are 1 year only seat belts, all those sort of things. I got a lot of rare parts with the car, and everything else that come with that to follow suit was all custom fabrication. So all the engine mounts are all made, all handmade. They're all one-off to the car, and then obviously all the pipe work and whatever else. But it's just marrying the two, the Frankenstein or the Mark 1 with the Mark 4. It's not so much the parts, it's making everything work together and knowing what works. That's the really difficult thing. If you want those little rare features that nobody else has got, then you've got to pay big money for them. But building a car that nobody else has fought to build, you need to make it up as you go along, and really beg, borrow and steal whatever you can find that'll fit. I run a classic car club called the Drivers Collection, and it's made up of basically exactly the same as what most people have who's watching this. A group of friends that gets together, all car enthusiasts. Started out basically I bought and sold automotive antiques, so old signs, like racing memorabilia, all that sort of stuff. And as the car came out, I was meeting more and more people and new friends and some old friends as well that are also part of the club. It become more than just a little side thing where I was selling old tat, really. We decided to form a club around it. It's just gone from strength to strength. We are literally like a family. We call them the Drivers' Wives. They all go out and go and have cocktails or whatever else together, and all lads are in garage tinkering with cars together near enough every weekend. We do shows together, we do everything together. It's really, it's something incredible that we've built, and fortunately we've managed to turn it into a brand and a show. So last year we managed to have his first show that was we feel it was really successful. We had over 300 cars on display and an air show, and you could go and pay to go out in a small aircraft and stuff. But yeah, basically a lot of the attention that have been focused where I built the car a lot of the time on my own or at work or with work colleagues and stuff is now a lot more fun because it's more of a sociable thing. Whereas like a lot of people probably feel like building a car is quite isolating. It is quite isolating unless you surround yourself with the right people and the right, it's basically become everything to us. We're like family, so yeah, it's really good.
Best in show, come on, better than that, come on, it's the last one, come on.
A lot of people always ask like about what you think of the car community and the scene, as some people would call it. For me personally, it's the best thing I've ever done. I've been involved with a lot of things in my time, sports and whatever else, and this is, whoever you surround yourself with is your own car community, and I can't stress that enough to people who moan on the internet all the time, that if you want to associate yourself with people that you don't like, then you're not going to enjoy your time being at car shows and whatever else. If you associate yourself with people who are very like-minded, got the same goals, what they want to achieve from the cars, and you're all clubbing together and try and create something that's really good, then you are going to reap the rewards. What it's all about. So for me, yeah, car scene is the best thing that's ever happened. It's his entire social life. It's not only that, it's my work, because I'm a panel beater by trade, so I work in the motor trade. My entire life just revolves around cars. So yeah, really enjoy it.